I'm heading over to Saisd, not their police station, but their administrative building. The way back last year, one of their officers approached me at night, blinded me with his cameras, misrepresented himself as a San Antonio Police Department officer, and of course I filed a complaint about that, but the Saisd never got back with me on it, even though they said they would multiple times. I've reached out to them multiple times, and at this point, I'm simply going there to follow up. It's distressing when people in government positions just ignore you. Once you've made a complaint, and they say they're going to take care of it, but they don't do anything about it that you're aware of. That doesn't mean they didn't do anything about it, but failing to tell me that they did do something about it makes me believe that, once again, they just cover up for their officers, and that's frustrating. So, real quick, I'm just turning this around. That's San Pedro Creek. It's a beautiful area over here. Now, they're located off of Quincy, which is right over here. And again, this is in the downtown area. Their office for their police headquarters is off Tampico Street, up by Zarzamora and Laredo, between Laredo and Guadalupe. But again, when I do these follow-ups, it's frustrating again to me, because it's like they just don't care. And I don't think they understand that if citizens make complaints and they don't address the complaints and they just ignore us, they don't follow up with us, then regardless of whether they took care of the complaints, to us it feels like they didn't do anything at all about it. And again, this is about an officer intentionally lying to somebody about who he is, who he works for, and why he would do that. They claimed it's Officer 1144, but they would never release his name to me. And part of the issue with that is that in order to file a complaint in Texas against a police officer, you have to have their name and badge number. But when even the police department refuses to give you their name, even their department, they said, he's 1144. There you have a park police officer. But they won't provide that officer's name, even after you've gone down and made an official complaint. And I videotaped that complaint. That was back in November. It may have been October of last year. But either way, we're down here, and this is why we're down here. This is Saisd, San Antonio Independent School District. And it's saying no entry, front lobby across the parking garage. So I've got to go around the other side. No big deal. I'm used to walking. Pretty boring stuff. I understand that. I appreciate the one viewer. I assume that's going to be Hippie, who told me he would mirror this, and I greatly appreciate that. Again, this is just letting people know the process is that when you care about your government and you go out of your way to make it a better government and you get blown off, it is frustrating. Then they wonder why so many people just, don't care. Why people stop making complaints. And it's because the way that when they do, they're treated. And again, I fully believe 100% that officer had bad intentions. He intentionally lied not once, not twice, but 3 times, saying he was Sapd. He refused to identify himself. And then his department just blows it off like it's no big deal. And you have to ask yourself, why would an officer lie to you about who he works for And here we go. Sorry for the delay. I thought I'd be coming in through that other door. So, hello.
Hi, yes, can we help you?
Yes, ma'am. I need to speak with the chief of police.
Okay. One minute.
Nothing happened inside the interview, sir?
Yes, ma'am.
What is this in regard, sir?
It's regarding an officer complaint on Officer 1144. The chief of police was made aware of this back in September and October of last year. He has not gotten back with me, and I'm simply trying to get some follow-up.
What was the officer again, I'm sorry?
1144.
Okay, if you have a seat, I'll get with someone here tomorrow.
Okay, thank you. So, I'm down here, I'm waiting at this point. Again, it's 8:44 is what time I signed in. This may go a long time. Hopefully it won't. Howdy, M-Star Media. Appreciate you stopping in. In case you're not aware of what's going on, I'm simply following up on previous complaint with SAISD.
Thank you.
Yes, ma'am.
I have someone on the phone for you. I have the administrative assistant to the chief.
Yes, ma'am. Well, I've left you a couple of dozen voicemails in the past, so maybe you recognize my name. It's Tori Reese. The requests have always been the same. I'm trying to follow up with the chief of police regarding the complaint about Officer 1144 identifying himself as San Antonio Police instead of saying he was with your department. There was an official complaint made. Detective Huron had told me that the chief would get back to me. He never did. I followed up with email and with multiple phone calls, and I'm down here in person today because you guys have never returned a phone call or an email. Okay, well, I understand that. I've provided that before, but I'll do it again. Again, it's a little frustrating because every time I provide this information and someone tells me they'll get back with me, nothing happens. And again, when we go through this process, all that we want is transparency. So, what more information do you need from me at this time? Okay, that number's 210 905-6413. That is correct. And again, your department assured me back when I made that complaint that they would release that officer's name once they determined that it was that officer. And they just refused to give me his name as well, which is an issue. So while I'm down here, I am going to be doing an open records request for the names of your officers. Because again, I mean, you guys can just cooperate, but it seems like every time I ask for something, I'm kind of blown off. Detective Huron, your dispatch center, that officer's sergeant, the officer's lieutenant, they all said, oh, we don't release his name. We'll give you his badge number, but not his name. And again, that's unprofessional. I don't understand the reasoning. However, as you're aware, when you file a complaint against a peace officer in the state of Texas, you have to sign a sworn perjury statement. And on that complaint, you are required to provide the officer's name. And when I explained that to the officer, Detective Huron, I said, I can't give you his name because you haven't provided it to me. All I can give you is what you told me his badge number is. And again, I was told during that interview that you guys would provide that to me as soon as they were able to determine that he was at the location at the time. And nothing. When I asked him to follow up, he said the chief was aware of it and would follow up with me. The chief didn't. I emailed the detective back. I emailed your office. Specifically, I left multiple voicemails with your specific voicemail because when you ask to speak with the chief, they always route it to your voicemail. So, again, I mean, it's frustrating. So at this point, when is the chief going to be back at work? Okay, well, I do appreciate that. How do I set up an appointment to speak with him directly? Okay, ma'am, you already have my phone number at this point. As well as having my phone number, you're aware that I've been trying to do this multiple times. I'm at your location, obviously. She's placed me on the phone to speak with you here at the front desk. Instead of sending you another email, why don't you just call me back when he has an available appointment time? Will that work for you? Okay. Okay, thank you. And may I document who I'm speaking with again? Julissa, and may I document your last name, Julissa? Okay, thank you, Ms. Chides. Is there anything else that you need from me at this time? Torrey, T-O-R-Y. Last name is Reese. It's the same as on the complaint. Okay, thank you for your time. You have a good day. Goodbye. Thank you, ma'am.
Yes, sir, you're welcome.
Now, I'm going to walk out of here before I voice my opinion because these employees do not deserve to hear me say what exactly I think about this, but it is manure.
I have a meeting today.
This is the same typical bullshit that they have pulled for 6 months. They say, oh, call us, email us. They don't respond to calls or emails. And that's why I came down here in person today. And I'll be continuing to come down here quite frequently. Again, it's inappropriate for our public officials to ignore you. It's inappropriate for them to say they're going to call you back, or they'll respond in email, or, oh, well, yeah, our officer shouldn't have done that. We're going to address it and get back with you, and then ignore it. Because again, quite frankly, this is the same type of officer who is going to hurt somebody else, who has a nasty attitude, who's going to abuse somebody or somebody's rights, violate them, and then lie about it. And this department needs to have that on record. And again, in Texas, you're not allowed to know what any of their punishment is if they don't get a suspension for it. So they can tell me, we handled it, and unless he got a suspension for intentionally lying multiple times and then refusing to identify by name, then the public will never know about it. But I guarantee you, that same badge number is the same type of guy who is going to escalate something else. He tried it with me that night, and I was wise enough to have an audio recorder on me. This is the type of thing, like I said, when you have dirty cops and you follow up on it, they always protect themselves. And you see that right now, especially with another school district police in Uvalde. The chief of police there just getting appointed to the city council in a secret session because, he's in fear for his life. He doesn't want to appear in public anywhere. Why do you think that guy is in fear for his life? Because his decisions to tell his officers not to respond is responsible for so many children's deaths. But again, the police never want to be held accountable. And when you try to make them be held accountable, they always play this, our officers are heroes things. And like I said, I have a lot of respect for officers that are out here to protect our children, but I do not have respect for officers who abuse our children, who abuse the citizens, and lie, and have a history of lying, and then making threats, and then are not held accountable for it. So again, if that's the type of officer that this school district wants to keep hiring and keep on board and cover up any of his prior history of inappropriate officer conduct, then you got to wonder, do you really think that's the same type of officer that's going to rush in if your child's life is in danger? No, he's going to do whatever he can to cover up his cowardice and to cover up for his buddies, just like the whole school district in Uvalde is doing right now. There's no excuse for it. Everybody knows the reaction to an active shooter is to engage, not to stage, but they'll sit there and say, oh, well, whatever. We don't want to hear it anymore. We want our officials to be accountable, and we want to be able to speak with them. And they hide behind these, oh, he has a meeting, oh, he has this, oh, he's not been able to get back with you in 6 months. That's bull. This lady, Miss Saisd, I've left so many voicemails for her that I gave up on it. I stopped even trying for a month and a half. I'm like, the least she could have done was call me back and say, hey, we got your message, but he's not going to call you back. We're just not going to do it. Stop calling. But no, they won't do that. So either way, I do apologize. I'm vocal right now. I came all the way down here. This is just a little bit north of downtown San Antonio. Again, I'm going to turn this around. This is their very expensive administrative building. That's Fox Tech High School over there, or it used to be. It may be named a different campus now. But again, this is their very expensive administrative building. You can't get into the building without being flagged in. All the good stuff that, you would think they'd have the same things at their schools. And we hope that they do. But it's always about them protecting each other. It's not about accountability. It's not about looking out for the public. It's not about addressing citizen concerns. Their officer who beat that girl and made national news, oh, we found no wrongdoing, when it's very clear he needed some training and counseling and other things that say, no, this is not acceptable. This is not what we want from our officers. But they won't do it. They'll never hold each other accountable. And I think that's where America's getting to the point, especially now after Uvalde, of them understanding that even when it's blatantly clear that police make mistakes, and you know what? We all make mistakes. Some mistakes are, okay, we made a mistake, but some, like that, that's not forgivable. Since Columbine, everyone has known what the policy is for engaging an active shooter. And yet, 19 officers sit out in the hallway and say, oh, we can't get in through the door because it's secured once he got in there. If they couldn't breach that door, how the hell did he get in that door? We all know that's bullshit. They had breaching tools. They chose not to do it. I'm sorry, I could rant forever, but I'm going to go ahead and end my live stream. I appreciate those of you who came in. Sorry you didn't get to see the chief of police, but again, this is just typical of what they do. They hide and they avoid any type of responsibility. Thank you again. This is Blue Lives Out. You guys have a good day. Hey, I'm going to go back to the Hippies channel. If any of you were watching this through him or whatever, great. But if not, please go and watch. I need to chill out, and his room is exactly what I need right now. Actually, that's why I went there before coming here, just to mellow out. And that's what I need right now. So I'll catch you guys there. Thank you.